Pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Kobe Bryant from Lower Merion High School in Pennsylvania.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is Mike, and this is the Variety Show. And on a sad day today, as we found out this morning, as early as probably 10 a.m., at the death of Kobe Bryant and the people that were on the plane. I believe it was five pilot and his family, and his daughter. And we like to um, give our respects to um, uh, one of the best players to ever play the game. And joining me, I got my Uncle Trey. What's up?
Yo, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, so we are going to just focus on the legacy of Kobe and his his on court actions and his off court actions. We're going to talk about it all. Um, yeah, but this is me and Trey's favorite basketball player. So yeah, we're gonna start from the beginning. Go ahead, Trey.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant for me, he's my favorite, pretty much athlete of all the three major sports. He was my favorite. His legacy kind of goes back 23, 24 years. We started hearing about him around 1995 as this kid from Lower Merion High School in the suburb of Philadelphia who was talking about going pro straight out of high school, which was something that was happening around that time. You had individuals like Kevin Garnett who did the same thing, who went directly from high school into the NBA. But the thing about Kobe Bryant was he kind of had a different swag about him. If anybody really knew or was starting to do a little research on him, even though it wasn't really the internet age like it is now. His dad, Jelly Bean Joe Bryant, had played in the NBA. He played with the Philadelphia 76ers. So it was a lot of hype about the kid. He actually, I remember when he got drafted, he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. And the funny
Yep.
thing was he was traded draft night for Vlade Divac, who's now the GM of the Sacramento Kings, to Charlotte. And he never played a game for Charlotte. And he ended up going to the Lakers. And I, he graduated high school the same year I did. So Kobe and I are roughly the same age. I got him by about 9, 10 months. But he graduated in 1996. I did as well. So from the start, there was kind of a connection there. Oh, that's right. He had the same age or around the same age as me. So his first year, he did not really. A lot of people got to understand he didn't come to the league like LeBron and just light it up. He was on a loaded Lakers team. Shaq was there. A guy named Nick Van Exel. Eddie Jones was there, just to name a few. So he actually came off the bench his first 2 years. Uh, I remember his first year, he only averaged around 8 points a game. And what I remember the most, as we talk about memorable moments, was he was a rookie in the playoffs against Utah, and he was called upon in the overtime and I believe the fourth quarter to play. And he had to take some tough shots. And I remember at one point he shot three, if I'm correct, it's three or four, three consecutive air balls in a row, and he was on the road. Now, most people, that's gonna have him shook. Not Kobe. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I have to check. They may have won that series anyway, but I know they got beat. They got beat definitely because that's the year Utah made it to the finals in the historic Michael Jordan shot when he
Okay.
Ryan Russell. But long story short, first 2 years he was okay. But by that third year, it was on. Eddie
Okay.
Jones moved on, and hey, the Kobe legacy began from there. So really,
Yes.
it was year three all the way up until he finished his career off with 60 points and a legendary speech, and him saying "Mamba out." So that's
Yep.
just a brief synopsis of where he started to where he got. But we know he had 5 championships, a three-peat, a
Yep.
repeat, an 81-point game.
Yep. National
Mm-hmm.
Olympic champion. But let's talk about how much of a hard worker he was, because you did mention that he was, most players would be shook, but not Kobe. Let's talk about how his love for the game and how he used to practice. He sacrificed a lot, and he's definitely an alpha male. Definitely an alpha male. Very he practiced. You hear stories of him practicing all day. Just watch some of his interviews. Um, yeah,
Yeah, just what you said is true. There, there's tales of all kind of NBA players who are putting in a lot of work. You don't become a great just because you're tall, or just because you can run fast or jump high. That's not the case. You have to work. And there's stories of like Dirk Nowitzki and even Ray Allen after games staying behind in the gym after everyone has went home and shooting shots. That's how dedicated they were. So Jay Will, who's on ESPN, told the story about when he played for the Bulls, and he was out in LA, how he wanted to get to the arena early and get in some extra shots since they was playing the Lakers that night. So the game started, Mikey, around 7 o'clock. He said he got there at like 1:30. Yeah, I'm gonna get some extra work in. When he got there at 1:30, he said Kobe was already there working, not just starting, but he was already there working. And there's also a video where he talked about how he woke up earlier than the average NBA player during the summer so that he could get a full workout ahead of them. So if they were waking up at 5:30 to start at 6, he said he was waking up at 4:30 so he could start at 5. And basically they practice for 2 hours and take 2 hours off and keep doing that throughout the day so that they can become better. He was just a phenomenal person as far as his focus, his passion, his tenacity to play the game of basketball and play it at a high level. You say alpha male, you got it right. He was not to be denied. And I think people are going to have to realize this. What's his physical presence is missed, and also his leadership, because people like Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, Anthony Davis, these guys were studying up under him. And Kyrie was so distraught today by the news, he didn't even play in the game. They said he left the building because Kobe had been very close to him, working with him on how to improve his game. And he's already a phenomenal ball handler and a great star. So we're going to miss Kobe. We're going to miss him in a lot of ways, and not just that he retired 3 years ago. The next generation is supposed to get a blessing or wisdom of how to play this game from the generation before them. And we just lost the biggest icon from the previous generation.
And I would honestly say Kobe's death is probably one of the biggest sports deaths since Muhammad Ali.
They suffered something like this before our generation. I talked to my dad. They had a baseball star who was Puerto Rican. I hope I'm saying it right, because his name was Roberto Clemente. I know he's Caribbean. I know he was Latino. And he flew down to, I believe it was somewhere in the Caribbean, and his plane crashed. And this was a very good baseball player, and it really shook up the baseball world. It has some level of equivalency with this situation with Kobe. Only difference is Kobe is retired. But this is major. You have the Lakers, which is a storied franchise. They've lost one of their top 3 players because Magic and Kareem definitely deserve to be in the running for best Laker ever. I understand that. I don't have a problem with it. But they lost a historic figure in a historic franchise. One of the top 3 or top 5 scorers of all time. 18-time NBA All-Star, MVP. I forgot how many NBA first teams he had. 9 defensive first team.
I got the stats right now.
Yeah.
If you want me to go
phenomenal talent. And the biggest thing is he was just getting into giving that knowledge to the next generation. He wasn't being selfish with it. He didn't retire and say, hey, y'all alone. I'm got mine, go get yours. He was working with the players. So he's truly going to be missed.
Yes, he's an 11-time All NBA first team, second-time All NBA, second-time All NBA second team, second-time All NBA third team, a 9-time All Defensive first team, a 3-time All Defensive. Yeah, I can go on with his stats, but let's talk about his first couple of rings with Shaq.
Yeah, one of the greatest games I ever saw. And on NBA TV tonight, I saw Brian Shaw was very emotional. And I could only empathize with him because he was on a team that pulled off probably the greatest comeback I've seen. Some people argue about other comebacks they've seen, but this comeback was historic. The Lakers in 2000 played the Portland Trailblazers, and this Trailblazer team was loaded. Rasheed Wallace, Steve Smith, right here from Detroit, Scottie Pippen, Damon Stoudemire. I can go on and on. You can look it up yourself. It was tied up 3-3. The Portland Trailblazers were up double digits going into the fourth quarter. Lakers come all the way back, and it wasn't the Kobe show. They was kind of doubling Kobe because Scottie Pippen was coming off of Kobe. And he kept passing to Brian Shaw, who was knocking down 3 after 3. Most people remember this game for one play when Kobe Bryant crossed Scottie Pippen. He started penetrating. Rasheed Wallace came up, and he threw an iconic alley-oop to Shaq. And after Shaq caught it and dunked it, he pointed up to the stands. And the story goes he was pointing at Sharif, his son, that's now at UCLA. But that game is what started that run. They won that game, went to the NBA Finals and won 1, 2, 3 championships in a row. Our hometown, the Pistons, broke that up in 04 when they lost to the Pistons, and I believe 5 games. Yeah, they lost 4 games. To the Pistons, and Shaq got traded to Miami next year, and that broke that up. But then eventually, once Paul Gasol and Lamar Odom got to LA, they were able to string back a competitive team, and they ended up winning 2 out of 3. They lost 1 to Boston. They beat Orlando, then lost to Boston, then came back and beat Boston. So they won 2 out of 3. So that's his 5 championships right there.
Yeah, and I remember watching an interview with Shaq and Kobe. They're both in an interview, and you hear Kobe was like, "Look at," like pretty much saying Shaq carried them. Pretty sure.
Boston Celtics.
Yep. And Kobe said he thought it was unfair because they say he was carried, but there were so many other players that had help, but they never said that player was carried. And when Shaq got his 4th ring, and they in the interview, you hear that Shaq was during that time when Kobe got his 5th ring. Shaq was extremely angry.
Oh yeah.
And yeah.
Well, you had 2 alpha males.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen. You know, if you look at the tweets today, Shaq was like, "Man, I love you, and you will be missed." And even Sharif posted how Kobe was checking in on him after he had that major heart surgery, if you remember. I believe at the end of 2018. I mean, Kobe was a great guy. That's going to happen. This is life. Let's be honest. We all have loved ones that we've been upset with before. The only difference is we get to keep it a tad bit more personal. When you're a celebrity like that, and you got a problem with your coach or your fellow superstar, it's going to be publicized. So, I mean, I believe they mended that relationship, and they ended up amicable down to this day right here where he's passed away. Same thing with his father. You know, Kobe and his father went through a situation where they really didn't talk to each other for a while. I have to check it, but I remember reading something where they had kind of mended the relationship, and it wasn't as bad as it had been previous.
Yeah. So, do you want to stay on 03 and talk about his problems outside the ring, or do you want to move on? Okay.
No, it's part of his legacy because he was able to do something that I haven't seen in this generation be accomplished.
Okay, so in 2003, Kobe Bryant was accused of sexual assault, but but the charge were eventually dropped. And a civil suit was settled out of court. After the Lakers lost the 04 finals, O'Neal was traded to Miami Heat. So yeah, so during this time, like this was probably one of Kobe's darkest times in his professional and personal career in 03. He had a lot going on. This was also the time where him and Shaq was actually beefing,
Mm-hmm.
where you could tell it was going to break up. And then you hear stories where every player was supporting Kobe during the '03 trial, but Shaq wasn't supporting them. That's pretty much what was the story back then.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the story. I mean, he was
We can
rehab.
do a
He,
whole we can
he
do a whole video on Shaq and Kobe, the the you can argue and say the greatest duo of all time, and we can talk about the decline of Shaq and Kobe when they fall apart. That's there for another video that we can. If y'all want that video, just leave it down in the comment section. Go ahead, Trey.
yeah. Uh, Kobe was hurt. He had a major injury back then, so he was rehabbing out in Colorado. Ended up sleeping with one of the employees at the place he's rehabbing. Long story short, it got out because there was accusations of sexual abuse. Uh, Basically, the charges was dropped. The evidence did not appear to mount up, but it was proven that he was being unfaithful. Infidelity was pretty much admitted by Kobe. Then you may know this, you may not, but for all of us there at that time, because around that time we were about 24, so we grown men.
Okay.
Kobe then kind of makes a comment like he breaks a man code rule, which is, hey, I'm in trouble for doing something wrong. Let me point out that y'all doing wrong too. They're like, what? He kind of alluded like Shaq and maybe some other players may have had some extramarital affairs as well. That didn't go over too well with Shaq and other people. Long story short, Kobe, after that situation was settled out of court civilly and there was no criminal charges, he kind of rebranded himself. That's when he brought his wife, like I forgot how many millions of dollars the ring was, and he just kind of, hey, I'm not even about to get caught up in this stuff. I'm not gonna go back. Hey, I'm just gonna be on the court working hard, working hard, working hard. Your footage you're gonna have of me is me working hard on the court. And you catch me hanging out and have photos of me and all this other stuff. He kind of re-imaged himself as a family man and just the hardest working man in basketball. And the phenomenal thing about that is it was accepted. He didn't have to what's the word I'm looking for? He really didn't have to keep apologizing for it. He was just able to re-image himself, and he was accepted as the Mamba, and really just this killer on the basketball court. Normally, like you take O.J. Simpson, O.J. was a phenomenal running back at USC and for the Buffalo Bills. But what we know O.J. for is what? The
Murder,
the
the double
murder.
murder.
So
Yep.
this happens. You say Barry Bonds because I heard this the other day. We think steroids when Barry Bonds was a phenomenal player before quote unquote steroids even was taken. Roger Clemens pitcher, phenomenal pitcher before quote unquote steroids may even enter the scenario. So Kobe was able to shake that stigma, and by the time you guys, your generation was able to watch his last game, he scored 60 points. And wasn't nobody calling him the Colorado rapist, nothing like that. So he was able to do something that you really don't see a lot, which is re-image himself in sports. I think the only other person who was kind of able to do that as well, Mikey, would have been Ray Lewis after that murder case down in Atlanta, because people kind
Okay.
of forgot about that too.
Yeah. Okay. Let's skip over and let's talk about his rivalry with the Celtics. And I do believe that they lost the very first time and then they won. Let's talk about just his trials against the Celtics during that '07, '08 run. I
Yeah,
believe it was '08.
no, you got it right.
He won the champion in '10. That's when he beat him, but he lost in '09.
Yep.
Okay, let's
Uh,
talk about '08, and that's when he
yeah,
won
yeah, yeah.
MVP.
The Lakers and Celtics have had a rivalry going back to
The
the six
'60s.
to the
Yep.
'60s. You know, you talking Bob Cousy, you talking Havlicek, Sam Jones. You talking Bill Russell versus Elgin Baylor and
Yeah.
Jerry West. In the '60s, we know Boston got the best of them almost every time. They did. Then in the '70s, they really didn't clash again. Then in the '80s, we know it got heated. We had them, I believe, meeting, what was that, 3 or 4 times they met in the finals. But we know the Lakers kind of ran the '80s.
Yeah. With
So when they got back
Green
together,
Packers.
in '08, you know, you had the big three then. People talk about LeBron
Yep,
before the
that was
Big
the
Three
originally
alliance.
first
That was
three.
the first alliance right there. The
Yes,
false
and if
trio.
it
It's like,
wasn't
yo, Ray Allen.
for yep, and if it wasn't for that big three in the Celtics, there probably would never been a big three in Miami.
Yeah.
And also you can trace that Celtics run all the way to and even the Warriors has influence. You can
Yeah.
08 was pretty much the first time that we seen like something that, well, I
Well,
guess
you
during the
had
Bill
big.
Russell.
So I'll say this to stay on topic. You had big threes before that. Magic was drafted for the Lakers. James Worthy was drafted by the Lakers. Kareem was traded to the Lakers prior to either one of those two being there.
Yep.
Boston had three. They had Larry Bird. You had Kevin McHale. And some people say Dennis Johnson, because a lot of people don't know Dennis Johnson was a great basketball player before coming to Boston. But you can say McHale, you can say Parrish, and you can say Bird. So some teams had three players because even before that, Houston did it in the '90s. They traded for Clyde Drexler, then brought in Barkley and had Olajuwon, Barkley, and Drexler, but they were all at the end of their career. Unlike the '08 Celtics, where you had guys still in their prime. So here's the main thing that occurred. Those three were big. They had a much more superior team than the Lakers. The Lakers had some Paul Gasol. I think eventually we'll get into the Hall of Fame, but
Yep.
he wasn't the same player Kevin Garnett was. The
No, not even.
phenomenal thing was, if people look at what happened, the first time the Lakers lost, Andrew Bynum, their center, was hurt and didn't play in Game 7. Close series, Lakers lose 4 games to 3. They lose Game 7. The second time they played, Kendrick Perkins was out Game 7. It was an ugly game. You go look at Kobe's stats. He might have been honestly something like 4 for 19. It was ugly, but they were
Was it
able
worse
to wiggle
than the
themselves.
Pistons? Was it worse
No,
than
no,
the?
no. This is versus the Celtics when
I
they
know, but
won
I'm
it.
just saying. Okay. When they won it, so we
Yeah,
talking.
yeah, when they
Now we
won
at
it.
010.
Now,
Okay.
so we had 010. I said the first one, they lost Game 7 to Boston. They lost that. That Game 7 was lost. They had no Andrew Bynum. Then the second time, it was like the tables were turned, and Boston was without Kendrick Perkins for Game 7, and the Lakers ended up winning that. So they were just two teams with great players. There was more talent definitely in Boston. Definitely in Boston. I mean, Rondo, Ray Allen, Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and you had Kendrick Perkins. I mean, Sasha Vujacic was playing for the Lakers at that time. Just to give you an example of what type of players they had outside of Odom, Bynum, Saul, and Kobe, that was pretty much it. But they battled back and forth. It was good for the NBA because they wanted to see that rivalry renewed, and they got a chance to do it for 2 years. So they
Yep.
split, but the Lakers also swept Dwight Howard and the Orlando Magic during that same time frame. That's what gave him 2 rings in 3 years, and that's how he ended up with 5.
Yep. Okay, now we about to go to another dark time for Kobe in 2013. Now, we know what happened in 2013. That's when Kobe suffered a torn Achilles at the age of 34.
Yep.
He did recover, but you could tell Kobe was never the same. He had glimpses of what we used to see, but Kobe was never the same after that injury.
Well, Father
And
Time really did.
you know from like a torn Achilles, not a lot of players have was able to recover from injuries such as those.
Yeah, really, they kind of credit Dominique Wilkins as the only one to make it full recovery. And then also you have to look at the fact that that happened in 2013. Kobe had already been playing for 17 years.
Yeah.
Father Time is undefeated. He's undefeated.
Yeah.
LeBron is still great, but there's no way you can convince me that LeBron is still as fast as he was in
Yeah.
2006.
You
No,
can
it's not
tell.
going to happen. It's 14 years later. So my point is, he suffered that, but he still showed us and demonstrated to us just the will and sheer
Yeah.
desire to get better because he was able to come back and still play at a high level. He
Yeah.
still was able to play at a high level. Not the same player, but still.
Yeah, you could tell he was trying, and that's another reason why he is probably my favorite player because he never quit.
Oh no, Quit was not in him. Quit
Never.
was not in him. He was not one to back down from any situation. And his mentality, along with his work ethic, is second to none. A lot of
Yes.
people can think they want to do something and act like they want to do something, but they will half do it or do it when it's convenient or comfortable for them. He wasn't that way. He was, I'm coming back. I'm going to work my tail off until I get back so I can get back to being a great player. That was Kobe's mentality.
Yep. And also at the age of 34, he became the youngest player in league history to reach 30,000 career points.
Phenomenal.
Yes, phenomenal.
And the phenomenal thing about that is you got to look at it for what it's worth. Kareem is the scoring leader, which is understandable, but Kobe, man, this guy's a guard. LeBron's bigger and still gets to the hole a lot easier because he's 6'8", 260. What Mike and Kobe did to be at that number is phenomenal. And one of the main reasons it's phenomenal is because they're guards, so they have to take a lot of jump shots. It takes a lot more out of you to keep creating your jump shot. Even when you get to the rim, you got to deal with those 7-footers. It's just phenomenal to know that they can score that many points in that amount of time.
Yeah. So okay, so we at 2013 now. Um, what's the next career that we should talk about? Um,
I think
what's
his
an
I think his ending is proper. I
okay?
mean, we knew he was. We knew Father Time had tapped him on the shoulder like, "Yep, it's that time." We knew Father Time figuratively had tapped him on the shoulder like, "Yep, it's that time." He knew
Okay,
it because his. Go ahead.
let's talk about his retirement after you finish.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna lead into that. He
Okay.
he knew his body kept breaking down more and more because when you get older, that's what's gonna happen. It's a natural progression of life. You're not as young as you once were, and your body's not gonna respond the way it used to injury. Um, to see someone score 60 points their final game, and it's not like he can jump and dunk on everybody. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Yep.
crazy. Some people tried to take away from it. Look at how many shots he took. He an old man. The
Yeah.
fact he can get up that many shots was phenomenal. But to hear them yelling Mamba while he was scoring against Utah, and it wasn't like it was a horrible, horrible team he did this against, and to see the respect he had, Mikey, from his teammates by
Yep.
passing to him and just keep feeding him, and to hear his post-game speech, man, hey, it gave me shivers. I'm not gonna lie, because I
Yes.
just
Yeah. His
watched.
post game was it was just
Yeah,
phenomenal. I might leave a clip of that of his retirement at the end of the video.
yeah.
But yeah.
But going into retirement, a lot of people then you just start looking at taking care of yourself. Because in all honesty, and it's a quote he has, you will miss a lot of things trying to not trying, but on your quest to be great. He said a lot of parties, family functions. And you figure when they retire that now they can just divulge themselves in the family life and other things they miss. Not him. What does he do? He opens up the Mamba Academy. So now he's training or younger athletes and not just kids, but Kyrie came out there and trained. Jason Tatum comes out there and trained. AD was out there training. So there's NBA players that come through there. He trains in multiple sports: football, volleyball. It may be a batting cage up in there as well. And he had took over training and assisting the next generation. He purchased stake in a soccer team, and also he bought some sports drink that they use in the MLS. That
Yeah.
his investment was crazy. He ended up, I think his investment tripled, not tripled, but went 30 times, increased 30 times his initial investment. Smart
Yeah.
man, on and off the court, not just basketball wise, but
Off the
off the
court.
court. Because a lot of
Okay,
brothers,
and go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, a lot of brothers end up broke 7 years after they out the NBA. 7 years they broke. So he was just showing his business sense as well. But go ahead.
Okay, now let's talk about things that he did for the kids. Specifically, let's talk about the podcast he created called The Punies.
Yeah.
Did you listen to any episodes of that?
So funny thing is, I just read about that on social media last week. That's what's crazy. I said, wow, so he's doing something for the little kids. So did I
Yeah.
get a chance to listen to one? No. I became aware of it early last week.
Okay, so pretty much what the Punies is about is that it's a podcast that he had for little kids. Pretty much, it was an interview that he was talking about his podcast, saying that he wanted to make something for little kids to for them pretty much when they go to school, like something to listen to the kids when they go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to teach them about, to give them life lessons, and also to teach them about sports. I believe
Mm-hmm.
the first episode was the pilot episode was pretty much a baseball game.
Okay.
So yeah, check it out. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. He have real writers. Well, he actually wrote it himself. He just had people like correct it, like an editor. But he
Yeah,
wrote
of
and
course. Of
produced
course.
everything himself. So not only he was intelligent, he was also a very talented person as a writer. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
Kobe,
I'm trying to verify this too, because my nephew lives out there in LA. And he was telling me that he has his pilot's license. I haven't had a chance to check on that yet to verify that that's accurate, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did. You know, a lot of individuals you see who rise to the top and do phenomenal things in one field normally are talented in another field as well. So that wouldn't surprise me if he was actually a pilot as well, or at least had his pilot's license. But just a phenomenal person, man, from start to bottom. He's human like all of us, so he made his mistakes. You know what I
yes,
mean? People got to realize that they lost the championship to the Pistons, not just because the Pistons played great basketball, which they did, phenomenal defensive
yeah,
team, but also the internal dissension with the Lakers, with Shaq and Kobe and all of that. That wasn't a great time. And then that's also around the same time, only a year or
great.
two after, he had the situation with the sexual assault
That was that same
allegation.
year. That was that same,
Yeah,
pretty
so
much same year.
hey, he could have easily just packed it on in. What I
Yeah,
mean by that was just kind of gave up. Oh man, my career going down. I done won 3 championships. I'm cool. Nope, that's not what he did. And just to know that he was on that redeem team that brought the U.S. back after they lost the gold to, I forgot what year that was, when Argentina won, and they finished with not even a silver, finished with a bronze. But my whole point is, hey, he was able to keep fighting through. I think that's something that people have to realize about Kobe, was he was a fighter, and he definitely was willing to put up a fight against any situation that came. He would truly be missed. I think it was a pleasure for me to watch this guy 20 years play basketball, watch these 3 years of him still being around the game, but then transitioning to being a mentor for so many of them, and doing a lot for the community in LA and just the international community in basketball and just in humanity. So
China really loves him in China.
go ahead.
I was just saying they really love him in China.
Yeah, he's loved over in Europe too.
Yeah.
People got to realize he's a big soccer fan. He wanted to play soccer because Kobe was actually born in Italy and he speaks fluent Italian. And the reason for that is his dad NBA career was over, so he went overseas and was playing in Italy. So he was born in Italy. So he spent like his first 5 years in Italy. And something must have happened because they showed a picture of him at about, Mikey, I want to say about 10. And he was playing in a pickup game with grown European men. So Europe has a lot of love for him. As a matter of fact, if you don't know, today, Neymar, the soccer star for PSG, the major soccer team in Paris, he scored a goal and threw up 2-4. He threw up the 24 for Kobe. Him and Kobe was actually cool. Cristiano Ronaldo, who some people argue as probably the greatest athlete in the world right now, especially as far as notoriety, he tweeted and said, hey, we're going to miss Kobe. This is going to have a major impact on the world because Kobe was loved all around the globe, for real.
Yes, he was. But before we end this video, I would like to get your best moments. But before I get your favorite moments of Kobe Bryant, first I would like to address like this dumb comments people made. Y'all need to stop with these conspiracy theories because they saying people killed Kobe and pretty much like the Leah situation. People need to stop with all this stuff. I'm kind of tired of when every celebrity dies, they always have to say something like that.
Well, you got to understand this in the words of King Solomon. There's nothing new under the sun. Yeah. These things have been going on forever. You're always going to have people that have an opinion on something. And with their opinions will come hearsay. So you're going to have people who's going to want to say, oh, Kobe was such and such. Kobe was killed because that just comes with the territory, As far as we know and really believe, the man was just trying to get to a game with his daughter who already had received an offer from UConn to play basketball there. Yeah. So we know the girl had to be talented. She's 13 and already received a scholarship from UConn. So
she had a great teacher.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reality is you're going to have people who always have those type of things in mind. That's just the nature of life. Different mentalities, different type of people. But I will say this, though. He's going to be missed. As more news comes out, we'll get better clarity. Yeah. Once again, I can imagine what Vanessa, his son that he just had, 2 years ago, and the oldest daughter, I think. Just prayers go out to them. That has to be so tough. You're not just dealing with one loss. You lost your daughter and your husband.
And your husband. Yeah. But yeah, what's your favorite Kobe moment?
My favorite Kobe moment is down to 2. It's down to 2. I was watching that game because during that time I was in a different lifestyle. I had $100 bet on that game. So I was watching that game, and the game I'm talking about is when he crossed Scottie Pippen over and threw that alley-oop to Shaq. I think I jumped high enough to hit my head on the ceiling because I knew I was ready to win that $100. But that's one of my favorites. But believe it or not, my favorite moment from Kobe was the presser at the end of his career.
Yes, when
he said Mamba out. When he said Mamba out, it just gave me chills. And really, for me, that's my most infamous Kobe moment. Just knowing, like, yo, this guy, for me, hey, I know how great Michael was, but my favorite, to see a guy score 60 points his last game out. Man.
Yes. And then when you hear him, like, he wasn't sad when he retired. It was like a sigh of relief. And what a phenomenal person Kobe was. But my favorite moment from Kobe, that's my favorite moment. But other moments was when he dunked on Dwight Howard and when he dunked on Steve.
He had another one where he dunked on Steve Nash, and I know Steve Nash was much shorter.
Oh yeah, but that was
But if
brutal.
you remember, he had one, and this is old Kobe. This is older
Yeah, that.
Kobe. Father Time was talking to him. But no, he dunked on 3 Brooklyn Nets. Brooke Lopez, Gerald Wallace, and somebody else was foolish enough to come over. And this is Kobe at about 35. Because, Brooklyn ain't been around that long since, I forget. Yeah, he's about 35 going on 36.
Yeah. Yeah. But any final thoughts?
Yeah, man. Hey, I feel, in all honesty, I think my love for Kobe comes from sometimes, even though we don't meet these people, sometimes they help our yearbook of life. What I mean by yearbook of life is there's certain things that we can point to with these celebrities that you remember what you was doing at that time. It's very easy for me to go through my yearbook of life, so to speak, when it comes to Kobe because same age, graduate at the same time, and things that happened and occurred with him, hey, coincide with me. Hey, he won his first championship in 2000. That's the same year I graduated from UD. So it's just things like that that Kobe Bryant was kind of like that, like I said, a yearbook for me. So it's crazy to see this young man perish, and it just lets all of us know that, hey, we're not promised tomorrow. He woke up, he went to bed last night thinking that, hey, I got a game or two to coach and whatever he got to do for Monday. He's no longer with us, man. So, hey, we all got to be very, very mindful of the time that God gives us and make sure that, hey, we're not up here beefing with people. We really taking time to enjoy life, treat people right, man, and just leave it all on the line like that.
But yeah, we lost a legend today, and we lost his Kobe's daughter, and we like to send our condolences to the family that were lost this morning. But yeah, guys, that'll do it on this video. Can we try to get over 24 likes for number 24, Kobe Bryant, in this video? Any final? Well, that'll do it from here. So please like, comment, and subscribe. And we're out. Peace.
Later.
It's I can't believe how fast 20 years went by, man. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And to be standing here and sitting in court with you guys, my teammates behind me, and appreciating all this, the journey that we've been on. We've been through our ups and been through our downs. And I think the most important part is that we all stayed together throughout. I grew up a diehard Laker fan. Diehard. I knew everything about every player that's ever played here. So to be drafted and then traded to this organization and to spend 20 years here, you can't write something better than this. And I'm more proud of the fact that not about the championships, but about the down years. Because we didn't run. We played through all that stuff. And we got our championships, and we did it the right way. And all I can do here is just thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the years of support. Thank you guys for all the motivation. Thank you for all the inspiration. And, what's funny, the thing that had me cracking up all night long was the fact that I go through 20 years of everybody screaming to pass the ball. And the last night, they're like, don't pass it. This has been absolutely beautiful, you guys. I can't believe it's come to an end. You guys will always be in my heart. And I sincerely appreciate it. No words can describe how I feel about you guys. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. And I love you guys. And my family, my wife Vanessa, our daughters Natalia and Gianna, thank you guys for all your sacrifice. For all the hours I spent in the gym working and training, and Vanessa, you holding down the family the way that you have, I can't, there's no way that I can thank you enough for that. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And what can I say? Mamba out.